Today's podcast is brought to you by Mechanics Bank. Mechanics Bank is here to help you with everyday life, whether that's buying a home, renovating a kitchen, or paying for college. They have the products and, more importantly, the people to help you breathe easy and say, oh, that's better. Check out mymechanics.com, call or visit to see how they can make banking better for you. Mechanics Bank is an equal housing lender.
Killed it.
That was pretty okay, I thought. Yeah, not
I
too
thought
bad.
it was wonderful. I feel like weirdly nervous, and I don't know why.
Really? A little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we follow that?
Right.
Like, how do we follow Mechanics Bank?
It's never ever been that good, that smooth.
Yeah. I thought you were stumbling for a second at the college part, and I was
No.
like, oh, it's part of the thing.
It's part of the thing.
Yeah,
Because
got
I was
it.
like, I thought you just had stumbled.
Yeah.
And you were like, I messed it up. Shit. You were like,
No,
you're like,
I need to be
college.
very
And
clear.
I was like, he did it.
Yeah.
In quotes, it says deep breath, so I
Yeah.
tried to take a deep breath. I've never sent someone through college, so I don't really know what that
Right.
deep breath is like.
Yeah.
Fair.
But I've been through college, and it's a deep breath for
At
sure.
least you didn't say like, and even deep breath, college.
When I was given the read, I did try it out to be funny, and
Yeah.
it just didn't work very well. So that actually was as perfect as it could get, I think. Yeah.
That's
so
fun.
hopefully Mechanics Bank enjoys that read.
I
Let's
hope so.
introduce ourselves.
Okay.
Welcome to the Open Mic Podcast. I'm Noah Jones, the host, and today I'm with Maybe Laters. 3 of 4 band members, correct?
Yeah, 3 of 4 right now. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And so I'm with Will, who plays the drums. Go ahead and introduce yourself, bud.
Hello, I'm Will Starr. I play drums in a band called Maybe Later.
Awesome. And then I've got Zach here, who plays guitar and sings.
Yeah, that's me.
That is him.
A little less confident, but
yeah,
it's okay. It's okay.
Bring it home, James.
And then I've got the lead guitarist of the band, James,
Yeah, I noodle around a little bit.
noodles around a
Noodles
little bit
around.
with his baby, what's it called? Not a ponytail,
It's
bro.
it's a man bun.
Man
it's a
bun.
bro bun.
Bro bun. Sorry. Yeah.
It's a top knot.
Oh,
Top notch.
top notch, top notch.
And
Gotcha,
Just
okay.
before we jump into anything, I just want to point out, I know they won't be able to see us when they hear this, but James is wearing this Bubba Gump Shrimp Company sweater that he wore every single day when we went on tour.
Okay.
And it got to the point I was like, you're still wearing that, huh? Like,
I just want you to know I haven't watched this yet.
Jesus.
Nice. Cool.
It has a taste of the night on
Two
it.
truths and a lie.
Starting to smell like bubble gum.
Do you guys have 2 truths and a lie like down? Like in college, for every class that was less than like 20 people, for like our first class, we'd have to like introduce ourselves with like one of those stupid like get to know you games.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where like I would just come prepared with a 2 truths and a lie. So like my lie was always like, oh yeah, and I played basketball with Nelly because he's from St. Louis and so am I.
Okay.
And I got it down to where like people would
Be like, did this
believe
motherfucker
me.
really play
Yeah.
basketball with Nelly? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Did you guys have those or no?
No.
I did those in high school, and I hated that particular game, but I'm a little bit of an attention whore, like a little bit. So
Well,
like,
yeah, I mean you're in a band.
I know, true. I know, like, most people, when there's, like, memes and stuff, it's like, oh, when the teacher asks you to introduce yourself at the beginning of the semester, like, most people are like, oh, it's so dumb, we have to talk out loud. I'm, like, sitting there, I'm like, I can't wait till it gets to me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, because I'm always just like, I'm in a band, and also, like, I do this, and I work, and I blah, 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 blah. And people are like, oh, that's interesting. And I'm like, hell yeah, I am interested.
No, for sure. Like when people are like, oh, so what do you do for a living? It's like, oh, I'm a goddamn reporter and I get to do the coolest shit. Like
Right.
I have no issue bragging about Richland Source, no problem bragging about what I do for a living. I'm very, very proud of what I do. I think that I have a really cool, awesome,
That's awesome.
job. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk about the band here. So maybe later we can talk about the band a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just kidding. I thought that was funny. I
Oh,
guess
okay.
not. I'll take it back.
Now.
It'll get.
You
It'll
wanna
get.
do it now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's do it
cool.
now. Maybe now.
Maybe now or later. I don't know. Man, that was a rough. I named the band Maybe Later, and
Yeah.
I've been
Dude,
dealing
I'm
with the
gonna be honest.
repercussions for a long time.
All of them go right over my head.
Same.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what? The worst part about naming it Maybe Later is I'll ask somebody to like at work. I'll be like, "Hey, can you grab this for me?" And they'll go, "Maybe later." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "No, but seriously." Like,
I was planning on dropping a few of those to this podcast.
You know,
just
if
so
you
know.
have to, go for it, and I
Yeah.
will do. I'll go at every single one of them. But like, I want you to know inside, I'm gonna be like, man,
Gotcha.
why did I do
I'll
this?
probably genuinely laugh. I
Yeah.
usually
Yeah.
do.
James-
It's kind of funny still.
James
James
still
may be
rolls
the
with it.
all-star, the MVP of this
Yeah.
podcast.
I'm on it.
So before James and I were in Maybe Later, we were in a band called Other Side,
Okay.
and you'd be surprised how much Other Side and Maybe Later come up in regular conversation.
It's true. You don't think about it until like
Yeah.
you're in something that has that name,
Yeah,
and
like-
then every time you say it, you just
Yeah. You're like, hand me
that's
that
fun.
thing. It's like, where is it? Oh, it's on the other side of there. And it's like, oh, maybe later. I'll
Other
get it,
side.
Maybe later I'll get it. Nice.
Cool.
Maybe
Nice.
later I'll get. Oh, it's on the other side. Maybe later I'll grab it for you. Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
It's rough times out here, man.
It's rough.
Dude, I said I remember specifically speaking a sentence that had both of those terms in it, and like
Yeah,
my
same.
brain got confused about it for
Oh,
a
yeah.
second because like I wanted to laugh at one, and then I wanted to laugh at the other. And
I wanted to make a drinking game out of it, but
You
it
could.
didn't work out.
Easy. We'll work on that.
Anyway, let's
Put a
talk about the
pin in it.
band.
As you mentioned already, there are 2 new members, but at one point it sort of flipped the roster, right?
A lot of times, actually.
Oh, okay.
So, Maybe Later has technically been a band since 2016. We started off, it was actually, James wasn't in it, Zach wasn't in it. The original lineup was me, my friend Kyle, friend Jamie, and my friend Blake, called Blake Buns. So from here on out, I'm just going to refer to him as that because I often forget his real name.
Herein referred to.
What?
Hereinafter or whatever. The
Shut-
legal term.
All right.
whatever.
So originally it was us 4, and all we really wanted to do was like play like a cover set at a bar or something like that. And we just thought like that'd be so fun if we could just got to do that. And we learned like I don't know, like 12 or 15 songs, something like that. And there were like a few originals, but like mostly covers. And we played at this place, TNT Bar in Galleon, which is no longer a thing. But we got to do that, and then we played a couple more shows. And we realized, like, oh, man, maybe, like, we could play, like, just original sets, and those will be, like, half-hour sets. And nobody would book us because we didn't have, like, any material out. So then we met Zach because he records and produces and all that fun stuff. And we recorded our first EP as that original lineup. It was called Extra Parking. And it was like a pop-punk band. And we just did 5 songs. But at the time when we were recording it, our original singer, Jamie, he had kind of told us, he's like, hey, man, I'm kind of going through some personal shit right now, and, like, I don't, you know, maybe we should just take a break. And, like, things kind of ended up, Buns and Kyle and I were like, man, we really want to, like, keep playing shows. So Jamie kind of, on his own, was like, you know, man, like, you guys keep doing it. Maybe I'll come back to it or whatever. And then so we moved Buns to sing, like, the singer, because Jamie was our original singer. So we moved Buns to be the singer. He played with us for, like, a few months. And that's when Zach joined, because Buns then moved to guitar. He was our bass player, and then he moved to guitar and sang. And then shortly after that, Zach joined us as the bass player.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny how that happened.
Yeah.
So I mentioned that we were in a band called Other Side. It didn't last very long.
2 shows?
We played with Maybe Later, though. And I remember telling them, like, or he asked me or I told him, he's like, I can fill in on bass if you need me to, like, for a show or whatever, while you don't have
Yeah, I was just
the
like,
guy.
hey, dude.
And then,
like-
so he's like, hey, like, not even 2 days later, he's like, hey, can you play this show on, you know, whatever day? And so I was like, all right, sure. So I thought I was, you know, they wanted me to fill in on bass. And then, like, a week or 2 before the show, he's like, yo, so, like, can you send me the logo for Other Side so I can put it on the flyer? And I'm like, yo, Other Side doesn't exist anymore, dog. I thought I was filling in,
Yeah.
like, on bass. So then I put together a band in 2 weeks, which
But-
also had James in it.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was a weird time.
It was a weird time.
It was
But,
really weird.
no, like, Zach had joined us. And then Blake and Kyle, one time, it was kind of weird. They hit me like, hey, man, I don't know if I want to do Maybe Later anymore. And I was like, damn, that sucks. And we kind of, like, mapped it out. At this point, we've been going for, like, 8 months as a band. Only played, like, a few shows, maybe, like, 7 or 8 shows total. And I thought, like, okay, so we'll play until the end of August. Like, we were going to be like, all right, so we had our first show on August 20th, 2016. We'll have our last show on August 20th, 2017. And then that was the plan. But then Kyle kind of came to me without Buns, and he was like, hey, man, like, I kind of want to keep doing it. I changed my mind. Do you think we could just get another singer? And I was like, a third singer in the first year. And I was like, I mean, like, fuck it. Like, yeah, sure, we can do that. And so we tried a few people out. And like I said, like, Zach was filling in. And I knew Zach could sing. So I was like, hey, dude, do you want to do it? And he was like, nah. Like, I'm just filling in, you know? And I was like, all right, sick, dude. So, like, I asked around to a few people, like, some homies that also play in bands now in Mansfield, some people that I'd just known for a long time that could sing. And it just didn't work out. So finally, I just kind of went to Zach one day, and I was like, "Hey, dude, you're the singer Maybe Later now." And he was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, I booked a show, and you're it." And then he was like, "Okay, like here we go." And so he became the singer. He never technically agreed to it. Like
To this day.
To this day, he'll use it in conversation.
Yeah.
I'll be like, "Yeah, dude, let's go play this show," and he's like, "I never even fucking agreed to this."
Yeah,
And I'm like,
I'm not in this band.
which is, it's funny. It's just like an inside joke with us. But Kyle and I had decided to keep doing it, but then Blake was still like, nah. Like, Blake had another band called Losers Club, and they had been going kind of steady for a little bit. So he was like, "Man, I just kind of want to do that, and I don't really want to do Maybe Later right now." And I was like, "That's cool, dude." Like, but then I was like, "Oh man, I got to find like somebody to play leads," because at the time Zach was our bass player, and then became our singer. And so I was like, I need somebody, like, we need another guitar player, because we didn't really want to be a 3-piece. So I had known James from Other Side and the temporary band for like one show that Zach made once. And so we were like, let's see if James will do it. And I remember I called him up and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Nothing." I said, "Cool, I'm in Bucyrus," because that's where James lives. And I was like, "I'm going to come pick you up." And he was like, "Okay." We went and got Taco Bell.
The Taco Bell date.
The Taco Bell day. And I was like, "Hey, man, do you want to play guitar for Maybe Later?" And he was like,
Fuck it.
"Yeah." He was like, "Yeah, basically."
Yeah,
and that's
James's approach
right.
to everything.
And
He's
he-
like, yeah, sure.
I remember I picked him up, and he kind of like stumbled into my car, and I was like, "You good?" And he's like, he's just like, "I'm high as shit. Like, what do you want to talk about?" And I was like, "All right, bro. Like, you want to be a Maybe Later?" And he's like,
Definitely.
"Yeah, dude. Let's get some 5 layers, talk about it." And so we did, and ever since then, at that point when James and Zach had joined the band, it was me, Kyle, James, and Zach, and that's when things started getting super serious with Maybe Later. That's when we were like, all right, like, if we're gonna do this, let's like really try and do it, because up until this point we'd been together for like a year and had already had like 3 lineup changes. But we were like, all right, if we're gonna do this, like, let's start taking it seriously. Let's stop doing cover sets and start doing, like, we'll just do our half-hour sets of original material, opening for bands that are coming through. And like, we made some connections with people in like Columbus and Cleveland and stuff like that, and started playing shows there, kind of branching out from like Mansfield and Galleon and Bucyrus. And ever since then, it's just been like the steady grind that we've been working on. And unfortunately, Kyle left the band. He was the last original member with me, but Kyle left about a year ago. We had done like a few of these like weekend tours, and we did one that was like 4 days, I think. And we did like Philly, DC, Jersey, and then a show in Akron. And when we got back, Kyle kind of had decided, he was like, "Man, I think it's time for me to hang it up. Like, I've been doing it for a while." And like, it was understandable as shit, like, when Kyle wanted to do it, because Kyle, to this day, is one of like the most interesting people I've ever met. He went to college, didn't work out, dropped out of college, came back to Galleon, started working at Taco Bell again, didn't know what he wanted to do, joined the Army, did that for a little bit, got an honorable discharge when Obama did some like cutbacks and stuff during when he was the president. So Kyle got to come home, kept working at Taco Bell, because that's where he'd worked since he was 16, still works there now. And he was like, "I want to start a band." So him and I kind of started Maybe Later together. And he had done so much stuff, and he had finally, like, I think he's just ready to like settle down. Like, he had been doing stuff so consistently for like 8 years in a row, just always on the move. And he met this girl and like fell in love with her, and he was like, "Hey man, like, I want to, like, I might have kids with this girl, I might marry this girl, like, I'm ready to like settle down." And he got like a promotion at work and stuff like that, and he settled down. And then when he left, I was kind of like, all right, man, like, it's me, Zach, and James, like, we're just gonna do this thing, it's gonna be sick. And then we had our friend Cam fill in on bass for a little bit, and then the most recent addition to the band, not really a lineup change, but more like an addition, we added our friend Juliet Ponziani. She plays keyboards for us now. So yeah, that's kind of the whole history of Maybe Later, real quick.
That is the whole
That was
history of Maybe Later.
That was a tangent. I'm sorry.
Talk to me a little bit about, outside of the roster changing, I realize 3 years isn't that long, but have you noticed anything change in terms of how music is done, or how venue gathering is, not gathering, but playing at is changed at all? Has that changed in Galleon or the area?
From kind of, but the thing is, I think it was different because when we did covers, we would just hit up bars and stuff, you know. And the cool thing about covers is like you do a cover set, you get a lot of money because you play for like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and they pay you like a good amount of money just to entertain for the night and bring people in. Versus doing it on your own, like for example, every time we'd play TNT, we'd do like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and they pay us $200-$300. Which at the time we were like, this is crazy. This is sick. Like we're making money doing this thing. And then when we switched to kind of this format, you know, sometimes we make $8.
Then it got real.
Sometimes we make like $8 at a show. But I prefer it this way. I prefer the do the half hour set, meet some people. But it's definitely changed in the way that like when you deal with like somebody that books at a bar, it's a lot different than like somebody that works at like Relax or somebody that like Ethan down at Day Trip or I forget her name, the lady that owns Old Soul.
Katie McLenathan.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
What was that last name?
McLenathan.
McLenathan. I did not know that. That's such a cool last name.
It is a cool last name.
But like playing like those kind of spots are different, and it's more like a connection because it's like I see these people around all the time. The people that own bars, I would just be like, hey, like, can we play here? And they'd be like, fine. And
Well, I've never played at a bar, but when my band plays at places like Old Soul or Relax or anywhere that's like an actual venue, like La Luna, for instance, in downtown Mansfield, it's just a totally more intimate, fun vibe because people are actually listening to you.
Yeah.
As much as I love the Phoenix Brewing Company, whenever I go there, it seems like it's a battle between the customers and the musicians, where the musician is playing their heart out, but the customer went there to go and speak to the person or people that they're there with, and so you're like shouting over the musician. Then the musician wants to be heard, so he either turns up his music or they're sort of singing louder than is really necessary, and it's sometimes less enjoyable for both parties. I would say
definitely like playing places that like we're there to play the show, and the reason people are there to see the show versus like you're the entertainment at a bar for an evening.
Yeah.
Right.
It's two different worlds, and like in my experience kind of doing a lot of both, I love this a lot more.
Yeah.
Well, it's also fun to be creative because my band, we play covers and mostly we do original music that either I or my banjo player has written, and it's just more fun because you get like, you know, it's not really creative license anymore. It's like you just get to do this, and this is how your song is played. You know what I mean? So it's just a cooler experience for the band, and it's, I think, obvious to me at least when you watch a musician play an original music, their enjoyment, whereas you're not singing, you know, Jason Mraz for the 125th time. You're playing your own music, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think it's just,
I don't know why Jason Mraz was the first musician
I
to come to my
Mr.
mind.
Easy, dude. I
don't mind it at all. No, I definitely, I think it's just more fun to do it that way, because the thing is, like, if you play a cover and it's like a big song and you fuck it up, people are gonna know.
That's
like,
true.
Too.
Like, people will be like, "Oh man, like that was a pretty shitty cover." Versus like if we play a show and we play Zero Gravity and like I drop a stick or something like that, people are just gonna be like, well, he wrote the song. He can do whatever he wants. It's fine." They're like, it's part of the show. Or,
Right.
you know?
Right. But also, at the same time, if you nail a big song, like I've been at going back to the Phoenix Brewing Company, I've been there before, and they've played like Tennessee Whiskey.
Yeah.
And like every artist who plays folk or country music seems to play a cover of Tennessee Whiskey. And when they nail it and the whole crowd is like swaying back and forth, it's kind of a really cool energy.
Yeah. Definitely, I agree. We played Damn It by Blink-182.
Okay.
We'll throw that into the set.
Sure.
Brightside.
And we used to throw in Mr. Brightside by
is
the
our
Killers.
Tennessee
Another
whiskey
great
for sure.
tune.
And like, I mean, there definitely is for me, like I look at it like if you're playing somewhere you don't play often and these people don't know who you are, like throw a cover in there because it's gonna win over the crowd.
Sure.
So like, we'll throw like "Damn It" or "Mr. Brightside." We used to do all the small things, but that's the worst song ever written. I hate it so much. I'm just so sick of all the small things by Blink-182. But you just throw it in there and like, That being said, damn, it's not a hard song to play. It's a pretty easy. It's like what, 3 chords, and then
Oh yeah.
I don't even remember.
4.
4. I
ask
don't
you
even.
I mean,
know.
it's one of
every
those.
time before we play it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's one of those songs, but like when we play it, I mean, it's fun. It's a lot of energy, and people get going. But like, yeah, it's I respect throwing a cover in. I don't miss playing cover sets. You know. what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm with you. Let's move on and listen to some of your music. So I've got Zero Gravity here, and we'll listen to it, and then we'll sort of dive into it, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Yeah, so that was Zero Gravity by Maybe Later. Talk to me a little bit about the song's content. I understand that it's a little different than what you guys are doing now. That was definitely more alternative, rocky, and you guys are sort of starting to do more pop rock. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, like
It's like dad rock, but like a little bit of top 40 and a little bit of like disco.
yeah. The
groove.
new stuff that we're about to put out is like a blend of a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of things. It's like he mentioned, like
Yeah.
kind of like dad rock, because I think everybody in the band, I can safely say, we are not in the main population of people that are like, fuck Nickelback. We love
Nah, dude.
Nickelback.
I'm
Okay.
all about the
Nickelback, dude.
Nickelback.
Like, we don't care
in.
at all. Like,
Yeah.
How You Remind Me, it should be the national anthem.
I
Like,
know, dude. Everybody, real quick. Everybody, or
Go
most
off.
people. I'm
Go
sorry.
off,
Most
sis.
people that are like, oh, Nickelback sucks because they saw someone else post it on Facebook, so now they do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't act like you weren't getting down to How You Remind Me when you were like 14 or however old. Like that came on in the car, everybody was bopping.
Dude, I remember when I was a kid, I would go over to my friend James Welsh's house every morning, and I would get there kind of early, and then we would walk to school. But every morning I would get there, and the VH1 like music videos show was on, and every single time Photograph came on, I was like, dude, this shit's a banger.
Oh,
like,
such a
I
bop.
have no qualms with Nickelback, and I went and saw him even. It was not fun, but like, like I like Nickelback.
Why was
They're-
it not fun?
Well, part
They're
of
not
it-
good live.
No, they're fantastic.
I was gonna
live.
say.
I feel
But
like
the thing that was not fun about it is I went with my ex-girlfriend. And,
Oh no.
And that wasn't the bad part. I think if her and I had just gone, it would have been like really cool. Like it would have just been like, like a dumb little date because it was Daughtry and Nickelback. So like,
those are that's like the
it was
epitome of
2004,
quote unquote bad bands.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude, exactly. And
Wait.
wait, what?
Wait, they got my homie Chris Daughtry too.
Dude, some
Is
people.
he one of the?
Oh yeah.
Some people.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
Dude,
fourth place
people hate
American Idol.
Daughtry.
Dude,
what do you mean?
I fuck those people. Like I know that's mean. That's mean and it's kind of aggressive, but dude, home, dude. I'm going home. Dude, it's a great song. But no, what made it kind of bad was that not only did me and my girlfriend at the time go, her parents went with us.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And her
Nice.
parents, nice people, got along with them. Doug and Mary, they're good people. But it was just weird, kind of. And we drove up there with them, and they didn't listen to music in the car. They were like a quiet family. And my family's very loud, and like music has always been around and stuff. So like it's just kind of an awkward car ride. And whenever I go to a show, like I'll blare like the band that we're going to see. I'm like getting hyped. I'm like, yo, we're gonna see it live. Like this is gonna be
Right.
sick. And it was just like a quiet car ride, and like I think I was like 19 or 20 at the time, and I was just like, man, this is gonna be weird. Like, because usually if I go to shows, even when I was like 19, 20, I would like find a way to get beer, or, like I would like just chain smoke cigarettes because it was like this outdoor venue, and just I was like, yeah, that's fun, but I don't know if I can do that in front of Doug and Mary. And one thing that ended up being pretty cool is I was like, well, I'm not gonna be able to drink because like they know how old I am, and like it's my girlfriend's parents, and they came through. Doug came through hard, dude. He like disappeared for a minute, and he came back holding 6 Natty Lights, and he just hands me like 3 of them, and I was like, all right, like I'm not sitting through Nickelback and
All right,
Daughtry,
Doug, I see you.
not beer drunk, you know,
Right.
like. So I mean that was pretty cool, but like just overall it was weird. Like it's not really my scene, you know. Like
Sure.
I don't hang out with, but people. I tell you what, man, people go down for like Nickelbacks. The people that go see Nickelback like every time that they come through Ohio, those people are like, I'm here for Nickelback. Let's throw down, and they are like ready for it. It's weird. It's a weird time. It's a weird show, but it wasn't I shouldn't say it wasn't fun, but it was not the best show I've ever been to, just because it was odd.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anyway, that was a Nickelback
that was a
tangent
good one.
shit. I'm sorry.
No worries at all. I
So-
honest to God don't remember what we were talking about before that though.
Something about hard rock.
Oh, so the new album is like
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
so like
Oh,
the
our
new-
music.
yeah,
Yeah.
our music. That's why we're
Yeah.
I think we're promoting Nickelback.
right,
You know what? That's fine.
right.
I'm cool with
fine.
it.
So yeah, the new stuff is like a mix of like dad rock, pop rock, a little bit of disco, and a little bit. There's some hip hop influences as well. So it's like this. It's like a mix.
Okay.
It's like a genre mix. But Zach, please.
I would say that hip hop. It's not as much hip hop as it is just general top 40, just general pop
Yeah,
music.
we shouldn't say hip hop because that's
Yeah.
like I would say that's almost like to say we're doing hip hop is like disrespectful to people that actually do hip hop. It's more like
I wouldn't go that far. It's just like
you know how like
call it what it is.
top 40 now kind of has like a flow to it. Like
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Bruno Mars has a
Melodic,
flow, but
yeah.
but Bruno Mars
Rhythmic.
isn't a rapper. You know,
Uh-huh.
it's kind of like that. Like
Gotcha.
there's some like flowy type
Okay.
things going on.
Cool.
Yeah,
so let's talk a little bit about Zero Gravity though before
Oh,
we
yes.
listen to the American Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
What was the sort of basis behind its creation?
So
that was by Kyle.
yeah, well Kyle and I wrote that song together.
did you?
Mm-hmm. So right after we put out Extra Parking, which was our first EP with the original lineup, Kyle had told me, he was like, I'm working on new stuff already, and I was like, okay, cool.
Oh no, I was there for that too.
And you were in
Yeah.
you were in the band at this point too, and he was like, yeah man, like, you know, it's very early stages, but I want to show you what I have. And he showed me Zero Gravity, and I remember at the time he didn't know how to start it. And it was like a lot different because if you go back and listen to our old stuff, it's very like Blink-182 inspired, modern baseball inspired, just very pop punk type stuff. And he was like, it's slower. It's slower, but like I want it to punch harder, like ballady kind of like this power ballad type idea. And that ended up kind of being what the whole EP was, is like this power ballad idea. So that song in particular is about like kind of dealing with like not being able to have somebody that like you want to be with, whether that's like a partner or a friend, and them just being far away or like growing apart. That particular song, and really that entire EP, is about like loss, like losing somebody that is important to you, or like fading away from somebody that's important to you, or like looking back and being like, damn, those times were good. And that's kind of what that was all about. That was like our attempt at being like emo, I think. And so that was that whole EP, and especially Zero Gravity. I think Zero Gravity is the perfect song, and that's why we named it that. That's why we named the EP Zero Gravity. It's because that song in particular embodies like the idea of what we wanted to do. So I think it's the perfect song to name the EP after.
And so that came out in 2018, and you guys now have a new single, it looks like at the moment, called The American Spirit, which came out very recently, March 29th, 2019. Genre change is different. Has anything else changed within your writing?
Okay, so Zero Gravity, like the record and the song, I guess, because it's on the record, but that was that whole record was mainly written by Kyle, and like it was sang by Blake, or like the original melodies were written by Blake for like his range, and he's got a much lower range than me and somehow a higher range than me too.
Blake is perfectly on key all the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if he just like took any time to develop it, he would have perfect pitch. It's actually amazing recording him, I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
You go in for like any pitch correction software and it's just like perfect. It was hard for me to sing, and it's like not my style. I come from like a hard rock, like metal background, lots of raspy, as you'll hear. But
yeah.
And so now I'm singing this like softer stuff, which I did love the songs. It's just like wasn't quite where I fit in best. I think I did it okay. But
I
yeah,
think
and
you
then
did fantastic.
Thanks,
I love
dude.
you so much.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I also recorded the record, and I had just moved, so I was mixing in a brand new room. It was the first thing I did in that room, which is a nightmare. We had a deadline that we put on ourselves, to be fair, but we were really adamant on making that deadline. So like I had to cut some corners, and like didn't get to do all the referencing I wanted to do and all that. So everyone else loves it though. So like I guess I'm just nitpicky about it because it's my own thing. You're always more critical of your own work. But yeah, so now that I'm writing, we're a hard rock band pretty much. That's like how I don't know how to not write hard. Well, I do know how to not write hard rock, but I don't know how to fall in love with my own music that's not hard rock as like the same way I do. I don't know. I'm just there's something about like just heavy stuff that you know.
The transition from Zero Gravity to what we're doing now is like it's clear what we're doing. I think when you listen to The American Spirit as opposed to what we're doing, it kind of like has the same tone, just a little more power behind it, which I think is really cool.
It is pretty ballady too.
I think a lot of people, we've had some people tell us like, oh, you guys aren't even the same band anymore, you should like change your name and stuff. And I'm like, no, like if you look at like the transition from Zero Gravity to what we're doing now, I think there's a clear transition there. It's just we wanted to write songs that were sad and had like a lot of like we were all, I think Kyle and I especially, were dealing with like a lot of feelings of like loss and kind of this existentialism almost. So like that's why we wrote Zero Gravity. That's why we wrote that whole EP. And now like we're not thinking about those things anymore, so we're writing songs about different things. And it's a little bit of, not a little bit, it's a different sound, but I think the same feeling of like, oh, that's maybe later is like still there. But as far as like how we write songs now is a lot different than like me and Kyle, because Kyle and I, he would have his acoustic and like we'd just bounce ideas off of each other, versus how Zach writes now, which I'm gonna let him tell you about that.
Yeah. So I just get any inspiration at all, and then I just, I write a lot of it on my own. Well, I don't like write, like I don't write a part and then be like, Will, you have to play this, If there's something that I write on drums that I'm like super passionate about, I'll be like, hey dude, you should like, you should play this part, but I'm never like, you have to do this. So generally I'll write, I get ideas from all kinds of stuff too, because like everyone will write stuff and then I'll hear it and it'll make me think of something else, and then that'll turn into a whole song. Like this song was our friend Cam, who filled in on bass for a while, like he wrote this like horrible, no offense Cam if you hear this, this like horrible like MIDI piano like progression, and there was like just like the interval from like one chord to the next just in one part of the progression. I was like, that's really cool. So then I took that and then I wrote all this stuff around it, and then it became the beginning of The American Spirit. And then the verses, I had some like ideas for like spacey just like spacey guitars like coming in and out, and that's so then the next part in the process is like we'll start playing it together like before we record it or anything, and then Will put his spin on it and stuff, and then James, especially, I love what that dude does. He improvs. I swear he doesn't write parts.
Most of the time I don't.
Yeah, I'm like, here's the song, and he's like, okay, and then like doesn't rehearse it. And then we'll get to rehearsal.
Let me say that a lot the music that was out before the American Spirit doesn't have a lot to do with me. I'm not on a lot of that because it's.
Oh,
just,
you'll hear
this,
man, on the new
I
stuff.
think the American Spirit is the only. Well, I was on Snow and
yeah, you got a good.
There were a couple. There were a couple.
Yeah.
Like I came in at the end of Zero Gravity, the recording process for that.
So the thing is, like I mentioned, like Kyle and I had been writing Zero Gravity for like a long time. Like the EP itself, which was originally going to be an album, but then we ended up just doing an EP. We had started writing that, I want to say like a year. Like we were done writing everything like 8 months before we went to record it, but like started writing it like a year before we were even like, oh, like we're going to record this. Like we were writing it before we thought about breaking up and all that stuff. So the way it ended up working out is Blake played his last show with us, and then that night Kyle and I went over to Zach's house and started tracking Zero Gravity. And at that point we didn't have James. We didn't know who our singer was going to be yet, but we were like, all right, well, we know the rhythm guitar part and we know the drums that we want to do. So we just started going with that. And so unfortunately, James didn't come in until a little bit later in that production process. So he didn't get to go off with like his mad skills that he has. I think the thing about Zero Gravity though is like James likes to go off on the guitar. Like he likes to just shred. And with Zero Gravity, that wasn't really what we were doing. So he just came in and put his little bits on. Like he was like, I like this
Salt
here.
and
Like
pepper.
yeah, salt and pepper. And so that was James's thing. Now the American Spirit and other singles that we're gonna release, as well as the album, dude goes off. Like every song,
Dude
like
goes off.
either he has just a cool lead part or he has a cool solo or something like that.
I think the new stuff for all of us is kind of a full push as maybe later. Like
Yeah.
we
True.
all get to put everything that we have that has culminated to this point
True.
into this album.
And I really like the contrast, like while we're talking about like leads and stuff, like the contrast between like the leads that I play and the leads that James play. I honestly want to ask people if they can tell the difference, because like I guess
In my
this is
head,
like
there's
a
like
cheat.
no way you couldn't know.
Really.
Yeah, cause, well,
So
that being
simple.
said, I know both of your guys' styles.
Yeah.
So, and plus I'm there when you record it. So
Yeah.
I know like what parts are who.
So like everything I do is like groovy in some way at least, and then James just shreds, just improvs like.
I would say that's like the biggest difference compared to like our old stuff to our new stuff that people may not know unless they like know us personally. Originally it was either Kyle was just writing things and he brought us ideas and then we came up with stuff, or it's like Kyle and I would write together and be like, hey, this is it, put a little something on it but not too much. Now it's like with the current lineup, it's kind of like Zach will have this idea and Zach will like make a whole damn song, but then he'll like send it, and a lot of times like he'll put like the same drum beat on the whole thing and I'll be like, well, I gotta mix it up a little bit. So then I do that and then we'll start practicing it together as a whole unit,
And then it really fleshes out.
and that's when it really flushes. I start adding like different fills, different accents. Zach starts trying different things out vocally. James will start doing like different guitar parts in different spots and just really feeling it out. So I feel like what's most fun, and like I don't mean to like say anything negative about the previous lineup, so maybe later, because that was super fun too. But what's different now is it's more of a collaborative effort, whereas before it was more some of us would work on it and it would be that, and it was like, pop, there it is. This one's a lot more thought out. It's a lot more just patient.
Awesome. Well, let's listen to the American Spirit then.
Cool.
Thank I need you.
Cool.
Sick.
Awesome. So one of my favorite things about getting to do these podcasts with musicians and we listen to their songs and then usually there's a conversation about it before and after is that it really helps me pay attention to the details that we talked about. So like for this one in particular, I loved it. There's like so many like different points or parts of the song that I can like really focus on. Like the drums were really great and then the guitar parts were sick as was
Thank you very much.
predetermined. And everything was just so cool. So this is going to be a part of your new album or EP. That's undecided, correct?
Yeah, I think we're gunning to make it an album. Like we
Okay.
really want to do like.
And that would be your first full length.
That'd be our
album, right?
first full length. We really want to do 9 songs because
Okay.
an album is I think technically 8. Anything between 1 and 7 is an EP. Then 8 to like 16 is an LP and then double LP and all that stuff. Right.
Right.
We're really gunning to make it an album. There's just a little bit of work to do beforehand.
Sure.
It could be an EP. It could be an album. There's not a definite answer on that one yet.
And you guys told me that yesterday you came to the determination of a name of the album. Can you tell me what that is?
Yeah. Do you guys want to tell them, or can I say it?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh,
dog.
neat. The album's going to be called Neon Paradise. The album, EP, whatever, is going to be called Neon Paradise.
The record.
The record.
There you
The
go.
record will be called Neon Paradise. We're hoping to have it out by the end of the summer. If we don't get it out by the end of the summer, then who knows? But it will come out. And we landed on Neon Paradise. We originally had a song called Neon Paradise. Then we kind of realized that song doesn't necessarily fit with the rest of the album. That one's like very much like a poppy song.
Yeah, it was like the first one we wrote.
Yeah, it was like the first one we wrote post Kyle. So, I mean, it's a good song. We'll still probably play it live, and we might try and throw it on something in the future, which I think would be funny if we put out like another album after Neon Paradise, but we put Neon Paradise on that album.
That would be funny.
But yeah, the album's going to be called Neon Paradise. There was a short period of time where we thought about changing our name to Neon Paradise, and then I was like, nah, let's just be maybe later. And the rest of the band was like, okay, like we'll just be maybe later. That's fine. So yeah, so the album's going to be called, the record is going to be called Neon Paradise. I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. Is there anything else that we wanted to talk about today?
I can't think of anything.
We don't even have any shows to plug.
We don't have any shows to plug right now. Full focus is kind of on the record right now. Like, I'm kind of itching to play a show again, but I mean, we just got back from that tour. So,
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh, we didn't even talk about the tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 10 days all over the country?
We did we went east, we went out to the East Coast, then we did like kind of a wrap around a couple southern states, and kind of went out to Chicago. So we did like this big kind of loop ending it at Day Trip here in Mansfield. It was awesome. It was all I booked it, so it was all DIY booked. We played in Philadelphia, then we played in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Shouts out to Ernie, because that dude, what a guy.
Ernie's awesome.
Ernie's awesome. He's such a cool dude. He booked us in Jersey, and just a nice dude.
Got to try Peruvian food.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I love that.
I have no idea what half the stuff I was eating was, but it was great.
Yeah.
I don't mean to tangent again. Like Ernie was cool. That show was a lot of fun. Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Oh man.
If I never go there again, though, I'll be happy. Just an odd city. Just very weird. It was an odd place.
You went on a walk that night.
Yeah,
that's
like,
right.
Before the show, I was like, man, I'm gonna go. Like, kind of needed some me time, so I just popped in my earbuds and went and walked around for a little bit. And it's actually kind of funny. This is a funny story. I went and walked around, and like I was walking, I was like, man, I really gotta go to the bathroom. So like, and I'll be totally honest, I had to do number 2. So like, I'm like, man, I gotta find somewhere. I got somewhere to do this. And so I popped in a couple different places, and this is like a city that every like block there was 3 laundromats and like 3. There'd be like a Mexican restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, a Korean restaurant, and then the next block was like laundry shop, Mexican restaurant, like laundry mat, like Chinese or Korean restaurant, laundromat, another like food place. And I was just like, man, and every single one of them, they didn't have a public bathroom. So finally I found a gas station. So I went in, I asked for the key to the bathroom. They gave it to me. I went to the bathroom. There's no toilet paper in the bathroom.
Oh no.
And luckily I noticed it before like I sit down, you know. But I ended up going in, and I was like, can I have some toilet paper for the bathroom? And this lady working the counter just hands me a stack of napkins. And I was like, cool. And then as I'm in the bathroom, Blake had filled in on tour with us, calls me, and he goes, hey, man, one of the bands dropped. You got to get back here. We're playing in like 20 minutes. And I'm like half an hour away. So I'm like a half-hour walk away. So I'm like light jogging, and I don't jog. And I'm just like back to the venue.
Good thing you had the napkins.
Right, dude. Thank God. Oh man, it was rough. But anyway, didn't mean to go on another tangent. I do that a lot.
that was the perfect story, I thought.
Thank you. But
that
yeah,
pretty much sums up our tour experience.
Actually, yeah.
Pretty much. But no, we did Philly, and then we did Jersey. We were supposed to do a show in DC. Unfortunately, it fell through kind of last minute. So we had an off day, and on that off day, we drove from Philadelphia to Atlanta. So that was like a 12-hour trek. So that was kind of rough.
That was insane.
That drive sucked. But what we did is like we drove about halfway, and we stayed at a hotel and then drove another half. But what was cool about that particular hotel, which I did not know was still a thing because we live in Ohio and you can't do this, you can smoke cigarettes in the hotel room, which was just cool because we all smoke. We're trying not to smoke right now.
When the hotel lets you.
Not when the hotel lets you, and when you're on the
matches?
road. Yeah, they gave us. There's complimentary matches, so we took those bad boys. It was cool. But then we played Georgia. We played in a town just outside of Atlanta called Ackworth. That show was super fun. Played in a town just outside of Nashville, Tennessee called Clarksville, Tennessee. That show was cool. Played in Dayton. Then had another show fall through. It was like a DIY show. It fell through, unfortunately. So we had a day off, so we just came home and hung out. Then we played in a little town outside of Chicago called Sandwich, Illinois.
Sandwich, Illinois, man.
Sandwich, Illinois was one of the sickest.
The coolest fucking place,
good.
man.
Right, one of the coolest places we've ever played.
Really? Why?
I'll let James tell you about it because he was kind of thriving there.
So fucking Sandwich, Illinois. Let me tell you about this place.
Because I'm from Missouri, and I'd never heard of Sandwich, Illinois.
It's
which
really-
is
population of like 6,000 people.
Yeah, no, it's
so
not big at
small.
all.
Okay.
It's pretty much just like the Bucyrus of that area, I guess. I don't know. But so the place we played, what was it? It was like this little
Route 34 pub.
Route 34 pub. It's like a bar and grill off the side of the highway or something. And what was it? Friday or Saturday?
It was on a Saturday night.
It was on a Saturday
Or
night
Friday?
at this
I don't
place.
fucking
It was
know.
So,
It was
so
a weekend.
we get there and we roll in and I go inside and it's really nice. It's just like pool and the like billiards tables in the back, and there's a bar open in the middle. It's like the whole room goes around it, and there's this nice stage in the corner. And I'm like, all right, this is awesome. It's popping. There's a lot of people here. And I walk up to one of the other bands, and they're just like, hey, how's it going? You know, you play music, and I tell them who we are and whatever, and they're like, yeah. So nobody told anybody that this show was happening, and I'm just looking at them like, we just drove like 7 fucking hours to play this show specifically, and like I didn't know that it was still gonna happen, so I'm like looking at them like, fuck.
Right, like because when we hear like nobody's here to like, because at the time they were like, there's not a sound guy here, and we were like, oh shit, and like we kind of just offered up Zach, because Zach does sound at the electric company here in Mansfield.
Well.
Sometimes, and then sometimes, not all the time, he does it sometimes, and then he'll do like security, so like he works with them and stuff.
He
so
does look
like,
big and strong, so that makes sense.
Yeah. So we just kind of were like, well, I guess if we have to, we'll throw Zach in. And then we told Zach that, and he was like, fuck. But yeah.
It actually ended up being like one of the best shows
yeah.
we had
awesome.
that week, because it was just awesome. The music started and like everybody was really into it. The bands were like super
All the
punk,
bands
like
ruled.
on it,
Yeah.
like they were just really really good and tight and well put together. So that was like a really good show to kind of end everything on, because it was just really good, and we all had a great time doing that.
And being on the road is like, this is the first time we did 8 shows in 10 days. So this is the first time we've done
Anything like that.
like a longer run, because we've done like a bunch of like these weekender runs where we'll go like Friday through Sunday, or really like Thursday through Sunday, and those are like pretty easy. You stay like tri-state area, and like you don't get it too far out. But this is the first time like we really went like out of our way, and like we were like in different time zones, and like we were far away from home, and it was weird. And it's hit or miss sometimes, because sometimes like when we played in Tennessee, there was some people there. Some of them watched us, some of them didn't. It was just kind of like a we were there type deal.
I ended up jamming with some old timers back there.
That was
a good
pretty
little
fun.
time.
But I mean, like, and so that show is kind of like, okay, like, you know, we sold some merch, so we made some money. We got some like gas money, you know, like on to the next one. And then sometimes you play a show like we played in Sandwich, Illinois, where all the bands were super, super, super cool. And it felt like Mansfield, kind of. It felt like I didn't know any of these people. Like, I'd never met. I knew, like, one of the dudes in one of the bands, because, like, I'd messaged him. His name was Chamberlain Foreman. Good dude, if he listens to this.
Name.
Chamberlain Foreman. Nice guy. But, like, I knew him. I didn't know any of his bandmates. I didn't know. We played with another band called Of Might and Monsters.
Yeah.
And they were, like, super nice and super cool. And it felt like I just met these people. And I was like, man, I feel like I'm playing a show with Pool Boy right now. Like, I feel like I'm playing a show with Adam right now. Because I was like, they were just so nice. Yeah. And they were like, oh, killer set. And like, you know, then that's what bands do, right? You're like, killer set. And they're like, no, you had a killer set. And you're like, no, you had a killer set.
Right.
But, I mean, it felt like being at home. But we were like 8 hours away. So, I mean, it was just really like 6 to 8 hours away. And that was such a cool show.
That's like my favorite thing about being on the road. And like sometimes, it's like, all right, well, there's not a lot of people here. We just do our thing. But sometimes you just hit a spot, and it's like, this is what you need to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you hit that spot, and everybody's doing that for the same reason. So it was cool. It's cool. You just have that out there,
and you just get to meet people and like just and I think that's my favorite part about being on the road, is you meet so many cool people. And so that was just amazing. And like a lot of the tour, we're working out new material. Like we played Zero Gravity and Hyperlight Drifter, both songs off of Zero Gravity. But the rest of the set was we were working this new song called Guilty, Hit the Floor. We were working the American Spirit. Just really like fleshing them out kind of live, which is the first time we've done that, because usually like we rehearse like excessively, so then when we show it to people, they're like, oh damn, cool. We had rehearsed like a good amount on like these like 4 new songs that we were playing, but like, you know, we were like, let's put it in front of a crowd. Like, I wouldn't say that they were done yet, but like we were like, let's put them in front of people and see how they react. And people, especially in like Ackworth, Jersey, out in Illinois, in Dayton, and of course in Mansfield, because the hometown homies always come through. But people were reacting really well to them. The new songs have like a very dancey quality about them, like you kind of shake your ass to it, and I think people are digging that. And people were just like a lot of people that we met while we were on tour were just very, very cool, and like it was just really cool. It was a really cool experience to do. Like, we were on the road 9 out of the 10 days, because we came home the one day and just kind of stayed low key for that day.
Brilliant.
But but just being on the road that long and like sleeping in the van, and we played a lot of Super Smash Brothers in the van. Just kind of just, it takes a little bit of a toll on you. It's a little bit of an adjustment, but just when you meet people that are cool like that when you're on the road, it's just the sickest thing.
Yeah,
you meet a lot. Oh, go ahead, Zach. No, you're good.
Okay. My favorite part, though, like, touring's awesome. That show in Sandwich was amazing, too. But, like, we played Day Trip here as the last day. And that was my favorite one, though. Because, like...
That was my favorite show, too. Because, like, anytime we're on tour and we get
show so far. Like
ever?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
dude.
Jesus.
It ruled. So, like, we have a song called Snow that most of our friends know. And, like, people around... I don't want to say that, like, like, local people know our songs. But, the people that do know them, they really like to sing that song back. And that's, like, when I started singing, that was, like, always what I thought would be the coolest thing. Is, like, someone singing, my words for me. Which, granted, I didn't write that song. But it is still super cool to just, like... Because, I mean, they're loud, dude. Like, it's like, there's like 35, 40 people
I'm telling
in there,
you, like,
all of them
are the people that come to our shows, like, when we play around here, are the most raw, they're just amazing.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
We got
fans.
drums going and guitars and basses and everything
and
super loud, and you can
just hear them
Yeah,
clear
like,
as
you can
day.
hear them over the
just
full
step
band.
off the
Go
microphone
hard.
and
it's I think that's been like one of the craziest things. That's a new thing, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, we've been doing this for a while, but like I said, we didn't like the cover thing started in 2016. People would come and that was fun, but when this lineup started, like me, Zach, James, when that started, that's when like we started grinding and taking it super seriously. And like, there are days where you're like, man, this is hard. Like, it gets rough sometimes. But man, when like we play a show, like either it's in Mansfield, Columbus, Cleveland, just somewhere in Ohio, and people come through, and like we're getting to the point now where people are, I think, starting to like recognize the name maybe later, and they're like, oh dude, like they have a couple good songs, like let's go see them. And the people that are coming through, when they come through hard as fuck. Like a picture of us parentheses Snow is like the perfect example. Like, they sing other songs too. There's even been a few of them that are singing like songs,
the new songs.
Yeah,
too.
like the new ones, like they've only heard them like a couple of times, but they're like getting the choruses down and stuff. But especially like, there was a point in time where like, like Snow's kind of boring to play. Like, it's a slow song, it's a love song. Like, we might stop playing it. And then we didn't play it for like a couple shows, and people were like, hey, like, what are you doing? And we brought it back, and man, ever since we brought it back, people have just been going off for it because they just sing, just scream. And we do this fun thing on Snow where I come off the drums, Zach goes back and plays the drums for like the last kind of like bridge, I would say. Is it a bridge?
Yeah.
There's like this really pretty part at the end, and then it goes into like this big, like the whole band kicks back in, and James rips a solo, and like we do this thing. We switch, and I sing, and Zach drums, and like it's just amazing. And like people that keep coming through to shows, and keep people that have been following us for a while and like sticking with us, and like it's starting to kind of like, I could feel the ball is rolling, and like I see there's a lot of possibility for maybe later. It's just cool. Like, it's just really, really exciting. It's a fun thing to be a part of right now.
That's awesome. So we're almost out of time here. We're not going to get to play a picture of us, Snow, but where can people hear it? We've been listening to all of your songs on Spotify. Are there other places that people can find your music?
Absolutely. It's up everywhere. So whether you use Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, if you use Tidal, some people do that, I guess. Tidal, Deezer, YouTube.
Yeah. We got a
Bandcamp.
lyric video on YouTube.
We have a lyric video for the American Spirit out on YouTube right now. But as far as a picture of us, if you want to be part of the people that come and scream that with us, then you can find it on anywhere that you stream social media. It's the last song on Zero Gravity. Stream music. It's also on social media.
It's true. Great social media plug.
Oh yeah, and then a quick social media plug. You can follow us anywhere at Maybe Later OH. Instagram, Twitter, Bandcamp. You can follow us on Spotify, Facebook. If you do www.facebook.com/maybelateroh, then you'll find us. But yeah, we're everywhere. If you want to check us out, check out our tunes, come to a show. Hopefully we'll be doing some shows soon. But like I said, full focus is on the record right now.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in. I had a
for
great
having
time.
us.
I hope we get to do it again sometime.
Oh, thank you, dude.
Thank you.
Absolutely.